Welcome and thank you for joining us today. I'm Debbie Mason and I have the privilege of serving as the president of the Tidewell Foundation. The Tidewell Foundation was established to provide perpetual support to Tidewell Hospice and the home health and medical service affiliates that are a part of our Tidewell family of companies. Today's December 1st and it's Giving Tuesday. And if you aren't familiar with Giving Tuesday, it's a special day each year that follows the retail therapy we also enjoy on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Its purpose is to allow not-for-profits to reach into the community to ask for support and to bring us all back to what really matters as the spirit of the holiday season. The Tidewell Foundation certainly wants and needs the investment of your passion and your financial support. To help motivate that support, today we are so pleased to announce that we have received a $20,000 challenge match from our friends at the Gulf Coast Community Foundation through the generosity of the Quint and Helen Evans Charitable Fund. We certainly hope this gift will inspire you to help us during the end of year giving season. But beyond that, this year on Giving Tuesday, the Tidewell Foundation and all of us at Tidewell Hospice wanted to do something more for the community. We wanted to actually give back. We see that as our responsibility as a leading foundation and not-for-profit health system in the community. And also, because we're the largest provider of free grief services, we know firsthand the pain and grief that families are carrying and the tremendous stress right now. People are experiencing stress from COVID-19, separation from their loved ones, even the loss of loved ones. Many of the families we serve have significant economic stress from losing jobs or wages or hours for jobs. We also know a lot of people have missed the ceremonies that are so important to families, like graduations and weddings, and even funerals and end-of-life celebrations. Those things bring the richness to life. And so we know that families are suffering. Because we saw how deeply families were suffering, the foundation funded Tidewell Hospice to establish a 24-hour community hope line, which is available to anyone in need, and it's bilingual, as a way to reach counseling and support when the stress just gets to be too much. On a positive note, as we enter the holiday season, we know many of us really achingly want to regain the spirit of joy in our lives, and that's what today is about. We look for hope and peace and love and joy this time of year. Those are the words that really ring in the holiday season. And although the season is really dramatically different, we still need and want it to be rich with these elements. So today, for Giving Tuesday, we are really blessed to bring you a program with a message that will ring true to our mission here at Tidewell. We hope it starts the holiday season for you and your family with all the beauty and richness that you all deserve. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our inspirational leader, our president and CEO of Stratum Health System and Tidewell Hospice, Mr. Jonathan Fleece, and he's going to kick off our program today. Jonathan?
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Fleece. As President and CEO of Tidewell Hospice and Stratum Health System, I'm so pleased to welcome you to the final event of our 40th anniversary celebration. For 40 years, Tidewell Hospice has been serving the region as the only not-for-profit hospice organization. We lead the nation in our world-class care, providing palliative care and hospice care to more than 1,200 patients daily. As we celebrate anniversary, to assure you that Tidewell, our affiliate home health, are here to serve everyone and in the future. While we are growing, we are always committed to serving. Today, we are honored and so appreciative of Gary Spence and the entire team at Lincoln for their generous sponsorship is inspiring. Gary, thank you for this wonderful gift to Tidewell Hospice and the Tidewell Foundation. I will back to Debbie Mason, the foundation.
Thank you, Jonathan, for those comments. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our sponsor, Gary Spence. Gary is the Senior Vice President of Client Engagement for the Lincoln Financial Group's Retirement Plan Services. Gary's company does a wonderful job of supporting our colleagues with our own retirement planning. And in fact, they serve more than 1.5 million people worldwide through their retirement service divisions. Gary reached out to me a few months ago and said, we've got a wonderful gift in the shared spirit of our missions. And that's how today came about. Gary's held a lot of senior leadership positions within Lincoln Financial, and he and his team are really dedicated to expanding their service. So I'm going to turn the program over to Gary, who's going to introduce Ben Nemtin to us all, and I'll be back after Ben's presentation to close the session today. Thank you for joining us, and Gary, take it away.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gary Spence. I am a Senior Vice President of Lincoln Financial Group, and I serve as the Head of Client Engagement for our Retirement Plan Services organization. We are so proud to be a partner of Stratum Health in terms of helping their employees robust and dignified retirement. We actually live by a very similar common purpose as what you live by there. And our purpose is simply this: to make a meaningful impact in the lives of others through selfless service, to selflessly serve them and to serve your employees so that they can, in fact, achieve the goals and dreams that they set forth for themselves. And today I'm very proud that we're able to come together and be a part of this program, and we're going to help present something that we think will make a meaningful impact in your life. Today's program is by a speaker, a young man named Ben Nemtin. I got to know Ben several years ago into our lives at Lincoln Financial Group and gave a speech that, quite frankly, was life-changing for so many of us across the enterprise. His message is very simple, incredibly inspiring, and it asks you to put together a bucket list of what you truly want to do before you die. It's one of the most amazing things we've been a part of, and I'm proud to be able to, on behalf of Lincoln Financial Group, present this to all of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further discussion, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Mr. Ben Nemtin.
Thank you so much, Gary. It's so good to see your face, albeit virtually. I have been a friend of Gary for a number of years now and have worked with Lincoln Financial many times, and really honored to be here, and also very grateful that they stepped in to sponsor this session. And more importantly, I'm just so excited to share my story with you today. And today what I would like to do is I'd like to, I'm just going to pull up my slides here. I'd love to share my story about how a simple bucket list changed my life forever. And in order to tell that story properly, I need to bring you back to when I just graduated from high school. This is me, and at this time in my life, I was very happy. And I was very happy for a number of reasons. I was happy because I just graduated from high school. I was going on to my next stage of life. I was happy because I had an academic scholarship to a really great university where I grew up in Victoria, BC in Canada. But the real reason I was happy was I had just found out that I had made the U19 national rugby team. And for me, growing up in Canada, this was my biggest dream. You see, in Canada, rugby is a huge sport. It's probably the third biggest sport behind hockey and hockey. And I played fly half. And for those of you that aren't familiar with rugby, I can give you a football analogy. The fly half is like the quarterback and the field goal kicker in one. So a lot of pressure. And I put a lot of pressure on myself to succeed. And as we were training for the World Cup, which was in Paris, France, I'd go to the field every day and I'd practice 100 field goals. And as we drew closer and closer and closer to our trip overseas, this thought popped into my head. I thought, man, what if I miss an easy field goal right in front of the goalpost? What if I blow this once in a lifetime opportunity? Now, these thoughts would run in my mind, especially at night, in the form of anxiety. This anxiety caused me to have trouble sleeping. And ultimately, this lack of sleep, this constant pressure that I put on myself, this anxiety that I was feeling, it all contributed to me sliding into a depression. Now, this is the first time I experienced anything like this in my life. And all of a sudden, my anxiety was stopping me from going to school. So I'd drive up to my freshman year at university, I'd pull into the parking lot, and I couldn't get out of the car. So I drove back home. I dropped out of school. I lost my scholarship. My anxiety stopped me from going to rugby practice. So I got dropped from the national rugby team. I became a shut-in in my parents' house, unable to really leave the house. And my parents, unsure of what to do or how to help after trying many different things, just encouraged me to at least go for a walk every day. Get outside, go for a 15-minute walk to get some fresh air, and I'd agree. And oftentimes I'd walk down my front steps, and when I heard them shut the door behind me, I'd go hide in the driveway for 15 minutes, come back. I tell my parents that I went for a walk. So this is a very scary time for me. I didn't understand why I was feeling like this, and everything that I'd worked so hard for was suddenly gone. And it wasn't until my friends came at the end of the semester that I dropped out of, and they convinced me to come work with them in a new town for the summer, that I slowly started to come out of these feelings. Now, there were many things that contributed, but a couple things that really helped right away. I got a job, so I started feeling some confidence and some self-worth. I started talking about what I was going through for the first time to my friends. And I realized that I wasn't the only one that was going through some of these feelings. And I started meeting young people that were my age that were inspiring. Kids that had started their own businesses straight out of high school. They'd already traveled around the world. I never met young people like this. And so after that summer away, I was starting to feel back to myself. I remember driving home back to Victoria, BC, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to try and only surround myself with people that inspire me. Just like those kids that I met in that new town. And I didn't know it then that one small decision would completely change the rest of my life, lead me down a path where I would learn my most valuable lessons. So that's what I would like to share with you today. Lessons that I think will impact your personal and your professional lives. So I get back to Victoria, BC. I think through my friends to see who checks that box of being inspiring. And at the time, not many did. But there were 3 kids that came to mind. Their names were Duncan, Johnny, and Dave. Now, Johnny was a filmmaker, and I had secretly always wanted to make a movie. So I called up Johnny. I said, you make movies? I'd love to make a movie. Let's make a movie. And so the 4 of us got together and started talking about this movie making mission. Now, the problem was we had no idea what this movie was going to be about, but we did have one thing in common. You see, we all had all of these things that we'd always wanted to do, and we realized for some reason we'd never done any of them. It's like they were buried. So as we're having these conversations, trying to figure out what this documentary film is going to be about, Johnny happened to be a freshman at university at McGill. And he's sitting in English class, and his English professor assigns him a 150-year-old poem called The Buried Life. And he reads the poem because he has to, but something in that poem strikes him. And he sends 4 lines of that poem back to us. He says, guys, read this poem. But often in the world's most crowded streets, but often in the din of strife, there rises an unspeakable desire after the knowledge of our buried life. He says, guys, this poet 150 years ago in 1852, he's articulating the same feeling that we're feeling right now. And that is, we have all these things that we want to do, but we haven't done them because they're buried. And we have moments when we're inspired, but that kind of gets buried by the day-to-day. So right then and there, we said, well, we still don't know what this movie is going to be about, but we're going to call it The Buried Life. And then we thought, well, then how do we unbury these dreams? And we decided to ask this question, what do you want to do before you die? Because oddly enough, the thought of death actually made us think about life. By digesting our mortality, it put things in perspective. And so when we asked ourselves this question, it turned out there were many answers. And that's how our bucket list started to form. You see, our bucket list was our answers to the question, what do you want to do before you die? And when we wrote our bucket list, all the things we'd ever want to do before we die, we had two rules. When you wrote the list, you had to pretend you had $10 million in your bank. And the second thing, you had to pretend that you could do anything. So if you could do anything, what would you do? Well, we would go to space, make a TV show, pay off our parents' mortgage, tell a judge you want the truth, you can't handle the truth. And then we thought, well, there's no way we can accomplish these list items on our own. We're going to need the help of other people. So how about every time we cross something off our list, let's help a stranger we meet cross something off their bucket list. And we'll go on a road trip and we'll cross off as many bucket list items as we can. And we'll also help as many strangers as we can cross items on their bucket list. All right, well, we had the idea. Where do we start? Well, we didn't have a clue. We needed to raise some money. We didn't have much money saved up. So we worked an extra job the next summer. We cold called companies looking for sponsorship. We did whatever we could so that we could save up enough money to go on a 2-week road trip to go after our list and help other people. Now, the last thing we needed was a vehicle. And we went to an RV salesman. We said, sir, we're going after 100 dreams. We need your help. We said, we got a camera. We're making a film. The last thing we need is a vehicle. And the gentleman said, guys, I got just the RV. Check it out. Just came in, brand new. We said, wow, that looks expensive. How much? He said, for you guys, I'll give you a deal. How about 90,000? We said, all right, sir, we'll take the one behind us. It's a 1977 Dodge Coachman RV. We did put streamers on the side for speed. We got our camera and we're ready to go. Again, we're going on a 2-week road trip to go after our list and help other people accomplish their bucket list items. And this is in 2006. So when we hit the road, something interesting happens. People start to hear about our mission and they go to our website that we had built and we had our list posted online. And they'd look at our bucket list and they'd start sending us emails saying, hey, I saw number 9 on your list is ride a bull. My uncle has a bull ranch, he can get you on a bull. Or I saw number 42, make a toast at a stranger's wedding. My best friend's getting married, I'm the best man, I can get you in. And then people started sending us their dreams. We got hundreds and hundreds of dreams from people all around the world saying, hey, I've always dreamed of flying a fighter jet. Can you guys help? I've always dreamed of singing a duet with Beyonce. I've always dreamed of riding a horse through a drive-through. Now, most surprising of all, after that 2-week road trip, for the first time in my life, I was starting to feel some purpose. And we all were. And although this was just supposed to be a 2-week road trip in 2006, we thought, you know what? Let's continue this mission next summer. And let's go on a 2-month road trip to go after our list and continue to help other people. And so that's what we did. And throughout the next 2 semesters at school, we fundraised, we threw parties to raise money, did whatever we could so that we could continue to film our documentary and continue our mission to go after our list. And it was a good thing we had saved up a bit of money come the next summer because our trusty 1977 Dodge Coachman RV was not as trusty as we thought. It was, we had lost 4 out of the 6 tires on the first road trip. The exhaust was starting to recycle back into the cabin as we drove. So we thought, okay, we're going to upgrade from a 1977 to a 1966 purple transit bus that we found on Craigslist that we named Penelope. We actually bought Penelope off a nudist in Vancouver, which is irrelevant, but I feel like you should know because we cleaned the bus very well, outside and in. And we took off to go on our second road trip and went after all of those list items that you see on the side of the bus. And we pushed ourselves this tour to go after list items that were more impossible than the first road trip. And we had some unforgettable experiences, and people stepped up to help us in incredible ways. We were able to sing the national anthem to a packed NBA stadium in front of one of our hometown heroes, Steve Nash. And for 4 guys who cannot sing, it was quite an accomplishment. We were able to help kids that were terminally ill with brain cancer go on a shopping spree, pick out as many toys as they wanted. From riding a bull to helping a homeless man get his first truck so he can start a landscaping business and move out of a homeless shelter. Now, as we started to continue our mission longer and longer, I realized something. These list items that I was convinced were impossible, they started to fall off the list. List items that when we wrote, I was absolutely sure would not happen. Things like number 53, make a TV show, off the list. Or number 81, have a beer with Prince Harry. Although it looks like I may have crossed off have a few beers. But number 35, pose for a Renaissance oil painting. And pushed ourselves out of our comfort zone with list items like number 74, help deliver a baby. Now, I'm sure most of you have experienced this. I was completely in awe. It's a life-changing experience for me. I was in awe. My friend Dave was a little bit in shock. Now, not all these list items went according to plan. Arguably the most difficult item on the list is number 95. Oh, forgot about number 42, be interviewed by Oprah. Had to put this one in for my mom. She loves Oprah. And again, the most difficult item on the list, arguably number 95. Play basketball with President Obama. Now, keep in mind, no one is helping us with these list items. It is just the 4 of us. So I have to ask you, how would you and your friends try and play basketball with a living president if you knew no one in Washington and you drove this thing around? Well, you drive that purple bus to Washington, D.C., you start asking people on the street, excuse me, do you know anyone at the White House? You realize very quickly that didn't get you very far. But you might remember those commercials that run that they end something like, contact your local congressman. Contact your local congressman. Well, we're Canadian. We don't have a local congressman. So we contacted all the local congressmen. We said, we're in DC. We're trying to play basketball with the president to prove that anyone could do anything. And most people ignored us. But there were a few lower level officials that actually agreed to meet with us. And we found some of the time we could actually convince them to convince their boss to meet with us. So we meet with their boss. And then we meet with their boss. And so we got all the way up the chain to the Secretary of Transportation. He was very confused about why we were meeting with him. But in the meeting, after he explained our mission, he picked up the phone and he called the White House. And he said, never forget, he said, I want you to know I'm meeting with the buried life gentleman. Not sure how they got in my office, but I assure you, they will cause no embarrassment to the president. Hangs up. So we come out of that meeting, we're on cloud 9. We just went to a senior trusted aide of the president. He put in the call, and no less than an hour later, I get an email from the White House. I pull it up on my phone. I say, guys, check this out. Dear Mr. Nemtin, thank you for your inquiry about the opportunity to join President Obama for a game of basketball. We have reviewed your request. And unfortunately, we cannot arrange for a basketball game with the president. Sincerely, the White House Office of Appointments and Scheduling. So, pretty clear no, right? It's in writing. But we weren't ready to give up. And we had learned something while we were in Washington, and I'm not sure if you remember this, but there were these semi-regular, semi-secret basketball games that happened with President Obama, and the man that set them up was his personal aide, a gentleman named Reggie Love. Reggie Love set up these games via text message to a select few senior officials the day of the game. And so we thought, that's our inside man. We got to get a hold of Reggie Love. And we found what we thought was Reggie Love's email. And we started sending him emails challenging him and the president to a basketball game. So we said, "Dear Mr. Love, you and the president versus us tonight, 7:30 at the YMCA. Be there." We'd show up at the Y, 7:30 with our basketball and our basketball gear. No president. It's okay. He's busy. The next day, "Dear Mr. Love, sorry we missed you yesterday. Same time tonight at the Y. Still have the courts reserved." Show up with our basketball and our basketball gear. No president. Saturday, maybe the weekend. Fail. Sunday, fail, 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 fail. For a week, we tried this until finally we accepted defeat and we moved on. But a few weeks later, I get a blocked phone call coming in on my phone, and I pick it up, and all I hear is, "What's this I hear about you wanting to play basketball against the president and I?" It's the personal aide of the president. I say, "Yes, sir," and I explain to him why. He says, "You know what? I like this. I really like this. I think I can make this happen. Give me 2 weeks. Protocol, I need to run it by the press team at the White House. They sign off on this. We can do this. I feel good about it." Hangs up. So 2 weeks rolls around. Keep in mind, I have no way to contact this man, so I'm just waiting for the block number, not letting go of my phone, sleeping with my phone, showering with the door open, holding my phone. Block number comes in. "Hello, gentlemen, talk with the press team." It's not going to happen. And I think even he thought it was going to happen. He felt bad. He said, "Guys, listen, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. This is out of my hands. If you're ever back in DC, let me know. Maybe I can give you a tour of the White House." And true to his word, a few months later, we found ourselves back in DC, and the personal aide of the president gave us a personal tour of the White House. And he walked us through the West Wing. He showed us his office, which is right next to the Oval Office, down the back steps of the White House to where the tennis courts used to be. Now they're basketball courts. There's a presidential seal on each hoop, one presidential basketball, manicured hedges. And as we're shooting around with the basketball, we say to the personal aide of the president, "Do you mind if we film this for a minute?" And he said, "Well, you know what? The president's not in town. Go for it." So I wanted to share a quick video with you right now. And this is a day trip to our, a video of our trip to the White House. Let's take a look.
Just another regular day in buried life. Yep.
Where are you right now?
We're in the White House basketball courts, just shooting around. You know?
Woo! How do people play game in the White House, dude?
Well, first of all, you're in business suits, so it's a little bit more of a constricted game. Okay? They only play half court because you don't want to get too sweaty. A lot of horse and a lot of bump.
Hey, Jeff? I just wanted to call because I want to let you know I'm playing some ball on the White House courts right now. No, we're just shooting around, man, practicing some game.
Oh my God.
Dude, the president just walked out.
The president just walked out.
So I heard about your show, and I thought, man, the least I can do is shoot a basket with you guys.
Oh, my.
We were relentless. Relentless. We had no idea how we were going to get this done, but we knew that there had to be a way. And I'm sure you know what this is like. You and everyone have faced unmanageable challenges this year. 2020 has been absolute chaos. The challenges that you faced with COVID-19, having to work from home, perhaps playing parent and teacher, learning new technologies. As Debbie said, being separated from loved ones, having to miss events that you hold so dear. And you've just faced a lot of no's, having to navigate this new normal. But you can get 1 no, 2 no's, 5 no's, 10 no's, and sometimes you just need 1 yes. So don't forget, you're not done until you get your yes. Now, oddly enough, there's something that I started to realize at this point in my journey. You know, I didn't understand this when I first started Buried Life in 2006, but I now know this is a pillar of truth. By doing what you love, you actually inspire other people to do what they love. And that ripple effect goes far beyond what you'll ever know. By you doing the things that are important to you, you actually inspire other people to do the same. You see, I used to think a bucket list was selfish. But all of a sudden, when we started going after our list, people around the world were starting to go after their bucket list. By doing the things that you love, you give other people permission to do the same. Now, a good example of the ripple effect is a friend of ours sent us a hashtag on Twitter that read "Hand for Tori." We looked into it, and it's a group of friends that started a hashtag for their friend Tori, who was born with one hand. And Tori's biggest dream is to have a bionic hand, a robotic hand. Now, bionic hands are very expensive. The physical therapy to learn how to use them and get them fitted is also quite expensive. But Tori's friends thought, you know, we don't have that type of money, but maybe we can raise some awareness and try and figure out a way to make our friend Tori's dream come true. So now I wanted to share another video with you, and this is the story of Tori from Ohio. Let's take a look at the video.
There was always fears in the back of my mind. She would say, you know, why Dad? Why am I not like the other kids? What are the other kids thinking? They're bullying her at school. Is she going to be able to do the things that she wants to? The fear never left the back of my head. Never. Just always constantly worried about her.
So I'd rather be working for something than praying for the rain. So I wander home to someone else's shame. I moved to the cold under a mountain, swam in the ocean, slept on.
We actually have a bit of a confession, to be honest. Your friends contacted us. They said that before they die, what they want more than anything in the world is to get you a custom-fit bionic arm. We reached out to Hanger Clinics, which make the best bionic arms in the world, and they've been generous enough to actually give you a bionic arm.
Never once has any man I've met been able to love. So if I were you, I'd have all its own trust. For 2,000 years now, been in that water. 2,000 years.
You should be able to start to operate it a little bit. That's okay.
So we don't eat until your father's at the table.
It's like right now, just seeing her smile like that, just like, yeah, look at this. I can actually do things. This is what she has always wanted her whole life. She always wanted to get a bionic hand. Her to overcome everything she has in her life, and now to finally get something like this. Now she's opened up a whole new world for her.
And she told me that she is studying social work at Bowling Green State University in Ohio. She said that because of this experience, it made her want to pay it forward and work in the homeless shelter in her small town in Ohio. Now, I told you there's a ripple effect that happens when you do what you love, right? You inspire other people to do that thing that they want to do. Well, there's also a ripple effect when you help someone, because you don't just help that one person. You help the people around them. You help the people that care about them. You help their friends, their family, and sometimes you help every single person that comes into contact with them moving forward. Now, this idea of a ripple effect is very powerful because it proves that one person can have an incredible impact through this exponential ripple. Now, you may not know what that impact is, because as it reverberates on, it kind of goes beyond what you may be able to track. But remember that every action has a reaction, and that reaction can be negative or that reaction can be positive. And it's not just big gives that create a ripple. A smile creates a ripple. A compliment creates a ripple. A good deed creates a ripple. And in a world where it feels like there's so much negativity sometimes, and you may ask yourself, well, who am I as one person to make a difference? Well, you can make a difference because of the ripple effect. And you may not know what that difference is, but if you continue to make small positive actions throughout your day, those will reverberate on and really create an impact in your community. And that is what Tidewell is doing. At the end of the day, they are creating hundreds of thousands of positive ripple effects in your community, right? In all different shapes and sizes, whether it's the Children's Grief Fund that they have, where they help kids that are coping with someone who has passed away in their life by getting them support or camaraderie with other kids that have gone through something like that. Think about the emotional healing that does for a child and how that will affect the rest of their life. Or the Wishwell Fund, which actually pays for patients' last wishes, right? It pays for their bucket list items when they are on their deathbed, whether it's visiting the symphony one last time or flying in their family so they can be bedside with them, or they actually helped a vet who wanted to go in a plane ride one last time. So all these incredible ripple effects. The humanitarian fund that they have, where they actually help spouses that have experienced maybe the death of their spouse and they are relying on two incomes. Well, Tidewell steps in and helps them navigate that delicate few months where they may need some more income, or they cannot rely on the spouse. So, not to mention the hospice work, right? Incredible positive impact. And really that's why we're here today, right? It's for Tidewell, and just for you being here, you're supporting Tidewell. I know that Debbie mentioned that this is really for you, but I would say that it's for you, and it's also for Tidewell because of the amazing work that they're doing. And so we're celebrating that today, and we're also celebrating you so that you can start to understand and realize that by going after the things that are important to you, you're able to actually help more people by fueling yourself so that you can serve others. So, keep in mind this ripple effect as you go through your day to day. And in terms of this idea of a bucket list, I said that this is for you. And what I mean by that, I first need to explain why I sort of talk about a bucket list. And in order to do that, I need to define a bucket list. And a bucket list at the end of the day is just a list of the most important things to you in your life. So a list of things that are going to bring you the most joy and happiness and fulfillment. Now, the list itself, the physical bucket list, that's just a device so you don't forget about those things. Because if you don't have something to remind yourself, they get buried. It's human nature. It happens to all of us. That's why the poem, The Buried Life, was written in 1852. People have been feeling buried for centuries. This is not a new feeling, which is why it's so important to stop. and think about what's important to you. Not what you think other people think is important to you, but in your gut and in your heart, what's important to you. And if you can't think about what's important to you, you're not alone. But don't think, feel. What are you curious about? What excites you when you think about it? Because as you know, the days move quickly. And we must not forget the words of the brilliant philosopher Ferris Bueller, who said, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you can miss it. Now, I feel privileged to have been able to have the experiences that I have had in my life. And I understand that everyone's path is different. But a bucket list is not about the accomplishments. A bucket list is not about the accomplishments. It's about the things that are going to bring you joy. And that is different for everyone. And as I said, I used to think a bucket list was selfish. Now I've realized I think I had it backwards. It's actually service. And there's a number of reasons why it's important to prioritize your personal goals. It's important for your own well-being, your own mental health, and your own happiness to be doing the things that you love. But it's also important for those around you, for your family, for your friends, for your colleagues, because you can't take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself. What do flight attendants say when you take off in an airplane? In case of emergency, put on your own oxygen mask before serving others, because you can't serve others if you can't breathe. It's also important for your career, because nowadays when we're spending more and more time at home and working from home often, it's very hard to strike that work-life balance. So we need to work hard to create work-life harmony. And what work-life harmony means is that we're getting energy from our work and we're getting energy from home. And one way we get energy from home is by prioritizing and carving out time for us, whatever that means, time to fuel us. And oftentimes doing those things that are important to us give us that sense of rejuvenation. So I really believe this is the new leadership. By you putting yourself first, you put yourself in that position to serve others. So it's not selfish, it's actually service. Now, it's also important for your company, your organization, your team, because any group, any organization, any team can only be as happy and successful and thriving as each individual person is happy, successful, and thriving. And lastly, it's important for your legacy. You know, to explain legacy, I'll quickly introduce this man. His name's Tom Gilovich. Tom Gilovich is a leading psychologist in the US. He's also a professor at Cornell. Now, Mr. Gilovich just ran a number of academic studies, and from those studies, he wrote an academic paper in the psychology journal Emotion. And in that paper, he found that people at the end of their life, they don't regret the things that they did, they regret the things they didn't do. The results of the study, called The Ideal Road Not Taken, indicate that it's not enough to encourage people to just do the right thing. We need to establish that it's vital for people to act on their hopes and dreams, and it's not normal to keep putting them off indefinitely. In the short term, people regret their actions more than inactions, said Gilovich, but in the long term, the inaction regrets stick around longer. So when Mr. Gilovich asked people on their deathbed, what is your number one regret? What is your number one regret in your entire life? 76% of people had the exact same answer. And that was not living my ideal self. Living the life someone else wanted for me, not me. 76%. That is an overwhelming majority. That is heartbreaking. That means that 76% of us, we will live our lives, we will reach our deathbed, we will reflect back on our entire life and think, damn, I didn't take time for the small things that were important to me. So that's not going to happen. You all You all are going to be in that 24%. You all are going to be in that minority. That's why this question is so important. I believe this is the most important question we can ask ourselves. Now, in order to not end up in the 76% of the population that ends their life with those regrets of inaction, we need to understand why this happens. Why do human beings end up with that regret at the end of their life? Well, Mr. Gilovich found 2 reasons through his research. The first reason is that when it comes to our personal goals, there are no deadlines. But we have deadlines for every other goal set in our lives. We have deadlines at work. We have other life deadlines. And there's consequences if we don't hit those deadlines. And so that keeps us accountable. So with our personal goals, there's no deadline. So what do? We say, oh, I'll do it next week. I'll do it next year, until 76% of people realize they're out of time. So we need to start to create accountability around our personal goals to drive us forward. How do we create accountability? We write down our goals, because that is a small step of accountability. Suddenly our goals are not thoughts, they are real. How else do we create accountability? We share our goals, because when we talk about our goals, we feel accountable to the people we just shared them with. And also, if we want to increase our percentage of success to 77%, we have someone check in with us down the line. So we have an accountability buddy that checks in, and that keeps us accountable. Okay, what's the second problem that we face with our personal goals? It is that typically when it comes to our bucket list or our personal goals, we usually wait to feel inspired to go after them, but that inspiration rarely hits. I know what that's like. I got a guitar sitting in the corner. I bought it 2 years ago. I'm still waiting to feel inspired to pick it up and play. It hasn't happened. But here's the trick. You can create your own inspiration through action. By taking small steps towards your goal, even if you don't know how you're going to achieve that end result, those initial small steps start to build inspiration. So you're the architect of your own inspiration through action, right? So inspiration through action is how we build our own inspiration, even if we don't feel inspired to actually go after them, okay? So even knowing that these are the things that stop us, it's still easy to feel overwhelmed because we still have to accomplish our goal. So what I thought I would leave you with are steps and a roadmap to accomplish your personal goals. And what I did is I looked back at the last 15 years of crossing things off my list and helping other people. I realized that when I succeeded at a bucket list item, there were patterns of things that I did again and again and again to accomplish any goal. And then I realized that I actually implement these same steps when I go after any professional goal. So I call these the 5 steps to make the impossible possible. And I'm going to run through these steps fairly quickly. But if you'd like me to text these steps to you, I can send them to you in a guide. You can just pull out your phone and text the word possible to the number 33777. You should get a text right back with a link to these 5 steps and the philosophy behind them. Now, again, what are these 5 steps designed to do? They are designed to get us over these things that stop us, these barriers we face when it comes to our personal goals. Building accountability around our personal goals and building inspiration through action. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is getting over the fear of going after your goal. Okay, so you text the word possible to the number 33777 to get these steps, and it'll be in the corner of this slide as well as I move forward. Step 1, write down your goals. Why do we write down our goals? Well, we are 42% more likely to achieve our goals just by writing them down. That is an easy 42%. I suggest that you take it. Now, why does it increase our chances when we write down our goals? Well, we take an idea, something that doesn't exist, and we make it tangible. So now we have a reminder that our goals exist. This is like our compass pointing to the true north of the things that are truly important to us, right? So I believe there's a difference between dreams and projects. Dreams have a funny way of just staying dreams, but projects, if we think about our dreams as projects, just like any work project, we break it down into manageable steps. Writing it down, that's the first step. So that starts to build a small amount of inspiration. The second step, as I mentioned, so important to share, right? Why do we share our goals? Well, the only way that we cross things off our list is through the help of other people. And if we never shared our goals, we never would have got that help. So when you share your goals, you give other people the opportunity to help. And again, you also feel accountable because you shared your goal with them. In order to share your goals, we need to get over this last thing that stops us from going after our goals, and that is fear. Fear is actually the number one thing that stops us from going after our goals, whether it's the fear of failure or the fear of what other people think, okay? Both very common human fears. We all feel these fears. And it's important to note that if you feel that fear of what other people think, or you fear that fear of failure, that's normal. Those fears may not go away, and they are part and parcel with going after your dreams. But I want you just to look at the real risks when you look at a fear. Break down what are the real risks. Okay, so let's look at the fear of what other people think. Very common fear, we all feel it. I hate to break it to you, but typically people are thinking about you much less than you think they are. Right? They're too busy worried what other people are thinking about them all the time. Right? They're just not thinking about you that much. So that fear of what other people think, as long as you have your basic needs met, is more of a made up fear. The fear of failure, also a very common fear. But think about it this way. If you're afraid to go after your goal, or you're waiting for the right time, unfortunately, you failed. You did not achieve your goal. So at least when you try and you fail, what you learn from that far outweighs any potential hit to your reputation. Step 3, buy a fiat. No, persist. I believe sometimes we trick ourselves into thinking that external forces are the reason that we fail, when oftentimes we fail because we stop trying. Remember the President Obama story? It's a numbers game. Trying again and again and again with authenticity, trying again and again and again with creativity makes all the difference. You can get 1 no, 10 no's, 20 no's. You're not done until you get your yes. Step 4, take moonshots. Dream big. Now, 99% of the world doesn't believe they can do great things. So they shoot for realistic goals, which means the level of competition is highest for realistic goals. Therefore, if you shoot for unrealistic goals, there's less competition. You have a higher chance of getting it done. Not only that, but a big dream motivates you to get out of bed every morning, and it attracts great energy, attracts the great people by your side. And finally, step 5, something that is pertinent today on Giving Tuesday is give, right? This is what today is about. It's about giving transformationally. It's about legacy. It's about making a positive ripple effect, and leaving a legacy that you're proud of. And again, obviously, Tidewell is a force of giving. The ripple effect they're creating is unbelievable. They have 4 feet of binders with thank you letters stacked. 4 feet. They call them letters of love, letters that say, you gave me hope, you brought me peace, you gave me love, you helped us resolve old issues, you helped us prepare for the death of a loved one and made it not scary. So we all know that when we help someone else, it fills us up in a way that doing something for ourselves doesn't. It just doesn't compare. It resonates. It lasts longer. And also, when you help other people, it helps you get things done. Because when people see you out in the world helping others, they want to help you. There's a great quote from the book Into the Wild. Its happiness is only real when it's shared. And when I look back, it's moments like this, when I was able to step into a time with Tori and her bionic arm that meant so much to her. I'm convinced that will stick with me until I die. Now, as you move on and inevitably get buried by the day-to-day, if you want to check in, just picture yourself on your deathbed, looking back onto this moment in time, and ask your future self, will I regret the time I'm spending focused on me? And if the answer is yes, that's okay. Just ask your future self, what will I be content with? What will I be happy with? And that answer is different for everyone. Is it reconnecting with that someone that you lost touch with? Is it finally taking that road trip that you've been putting off with your family? Is it supporting the causes in your community that mean so much to you? Because I guarantee what you will not regret is just taking time to honestly think about this question. What do you want to do before you die? Well, thank you, everyone. I very much appreciate you spending your time here with me. I'd love to stay in touch. Please send me an email. Here is my email address. The best way to stay in touch with me is through Instagram. My handle is right there. If you can send me a message on Instagram, I will promise to get back to you. Write your list, take a photo of it, share it, tag me in it. And we are also going to be doing a VIP session after this. I encourage you to join. I'm going to be talking about resilience and how to really practice habits that are going to allow you to go after those dreams that are so important to you. So I hope you join. I believe the invite is in your inbox, and Debbie might share more about that in a minute. So I'm going to now invite Debbie back on to wrap this up and bring us home.
Thank you so much, Ben. What an inspiring message. And there was a lot to unpack and contemplate there. Today, folks, Ben shared with us the power of persistence through authenticity and creativity and relentlessly pursuing our passion. And I want to say, on behalf of our Board of Trustees and staff of the Tidewell Foundation, that's what we do every day. We are relentless in the pursuit of serving the mission of Tidewell Hospice and our home health and palliative and primary care medical affiliates too. So today I want to spend just a minute and see if I can tap into some of your interests and passions to help you think about how you might want to leave a legacy with the Tidewell Foundation. So maybe you're really interested in veterans issues. You might not know that at Tidewell Hospice alone, we serve more than 200 veterans on average a day. And that number really grows when you add in our sister companies. And there's more than 100,000 veterans that live in our community. And we are one of the only level 5 certified honors veterans programs for teaching and implementing the best practices of caring for our veterans. So if you are passionate about caring for those who cared for our country and took care of all of us, we'd like to help you with that. Maybe workforce development is your passion. We are becoming a national leader at Tidewell for implementing the kinds of recruitment, training, and support to grow our own workforce of home health aides, CNAs, and RNs. We'd love to have your support in that. Our grief services are expanding. We are the free grief services provider for the 4-county region. And hospitals refer to us when folks have miscarriages, and funeral homes refer to us when families experience tragic accidents and unexpected deaths, as well as the grief services we provide to our patients and families. This year, thanks to a really generous donation from a family foundation, we were able to develop our first family grief center in Ellington. We would like to expand those services as we open and bring even more family grief centers to our region. Our Blue Butterfly program is an evidence-based therapeutic service. We very much want to expand Blue Butterfly. Thanks to a grant from New York Life, we're able to have a pilot program in Port Charlotte right now. We're looking at how to expand services in that region. And this year, we also realized that transportation is a real barrier for a lot of low-income families. So we want to take Blue Butterfly mobile, starting in Sarasota and Manatee counties. We could use your help with that as well. Maybe you're really passionate about the arts. And if so, we'd love for you to experience the tremendous therapeutic value that art brings. And music therapy We have 2 music therapists, and we'd like to have many, many more to bring the beauty of music, which actually clinically has been proven to reduce pain in patients, improve their breathing, improve their rest, and in a really poignant situation that happens over and over, music is often the gateway to cut through the mind clutter for those experiencing Alzheimer's and dementia, to reconnect patients and families during those last moments. There are so many ways that we can work with you to find your passion and to fuel the support for Tidewell Hospice in perpetuity. There are many ways your support can help us: through cash, through stock donation, through stock transfer, to leave a legacy in your estate. There are just so many ways you could be a part of helping our mission at the Tidewell Foundation. We've got a slide up that shows how you can contact us. We hope you'll reach out to us anytime so we can help transform your passion into a legacy that you and your family will be wonderfully proud of. Today, I'd like to thank Gary Spence and the Lincoln Financial Group again for their sponsorship of Ben Nemtin and his inspiring talk. Also, we want to thank the Gulf Coast Community Foundation for the Challenge Match Grant of $20,000 through the month of December from the Quint and Helen Evans Charitable Fund. We hope that you will join us for the VIP Salon Chat that's coming up next. If you'll log in at 10:10, we'll start right at 10:15. The email that you received this morning will have a link to that session, and we'd love to have you join us. So thank you so much, Ben, for your inspiring comments. Thank you to all of you who help us every single day. And I hope you and your family have a wonderful holiday season.